Hello guys, do you feel range units in Divide and Impair very underwhelming? Do you have trouble choosing between archers, slinger or Javelinsmen in your armies? In this video, I will try to explain to you all the range combat mechanics in Divide and Impair, including the HP and armor system, and all the differences between all three kinds of missile units. Now, let's go. When we talk about ranged combat, the first thing we need to talk about is the missile block chance of the unit. Unlike vanilla Rome 2, units in Divide Impera have very high missile block chance from shield. It ranges from 40% to 75%, which means firing at the front and the left side of a unit with your missile units will deal very little damage, since most of your shot will get blocked by their shield. So, to be able to deal damage effectively with your ranged units, you will need to move around and shot the enemy from their left side, or better from their rear, to deal damage most effectively. Normally, you can tell the missile block chance of a unit by looking at the shield of them. Units who carry a bigger shield will have better missile block chance compared to the units who carry a smaller shield. But if you want to know exactly how much missile block chance a unit have, you can go to the Divide Empire website. I will leave a link below in the description. And over there you will find a unit database, and you can check every unit stat in the unit database there, which includes the missile block chance of every unit in the mod. It's very helpful. The second thing you need to know about ranged combat in Divide Empire or in Total War in general is the HP system. Each soldier in Divide Empire will have an amount of HP. For example, most infantry will have 70 HP. That's the amount of hit point each soldier in one unit will have. And when they receive a hit from the enemy, a melee hit or a missile hit, they will lose some HP. And when their HP get depleted, that soldier will die. So in case of melee combat, each soldier will deal damage to the other soldier, and melee combat will often the casualty in melee combat will often happen faster because of that. In case of missile attack, the range damage will be shared among all the soldiers in the unit, which means every soldier in this unit who are attacked by the range attack, every soldier will take a little bit of damage from the range attack, and all the soldiers in that unit will lose some HP. So that means when you attack an enemy with your range unit, you will see no casualty in the first few volley, and you will start thinking, okay, range unit, they are so weak. Why that? They are so weak, they don't score any kill, they're so worthless. But it's not true. The truth is, the range units can deal a lot of damage to the enemy if you use them right. If you shot from behind, if you shot from the unshielded side of the enemy, they will deal a lot of damage to every soldier on that unit. When the melee infantry can only deal damage to the soldier they are fighting, they are make contact with, the ranged unit can actually deal damage to every soldier in the enemy unit. And when they start killing, they kill rapidly because everyone in this unit have their HP depleted, and you will see the enemy units start dying rapidly under your missile attack. And I think it's one of the most satisfying thing to watch in Total War. In the next part, we will talk about the different kinds of missile units, their strengths and weaknesses, and which unit you should use in which situation. First, we will talk about the Archer. They are long-range, high rate of fire missile units. They have good damage, but they have the lowest armor penetration damage among the three kinds of missile units. So that means they will deal damage more effectively to the units with low armor, and they will not be very effectively to deal damage to units with very high armor. The archers will really shine in siege battle because they can use their fire arrow to burn down gates and burn down wooden towers from afar. They can shoot in an arc, so they can shoot over the walls into the enemies that stay behind the walls and deal damage to them, a lot of damage to them. The most effective archer units in the game, I think, in my opinion, is the horse archer. They are very good because the horse archer, they actually have more damage and more armor penetration damage compared to the foot archer, so they can still deal a lot of damage with their bows compared to the foot archer, even if they have less men in their unit, but each man will do more damage, so they can still do a lot of damage with their bow compared to the foot archer. And their mobility is something that makes them really stand out. You can move them faster to the back of the enemy and unleash your volleys of arrow, so they can use their ammunition very effectively. And after you have used all of their ammunition, you can always charge them into melee and cause a lot of damage because they are still cavalry units. They can deal damage with their charge and finish the job. In my opinion, the horse archer is one of the most effective units in the game. Next, we have the Slinger, my favorite unit, my favorite range unit in the game. The Slinger is the long range and high ammunition range unit. They have the longest range in the game among the three types of missile units, and they have the highest amount of ammunition as well. And the range and ammunition of the Slinger will scale very well into the late game because you can further increase that by army tradition, by hero skill, by agent skill, and all of the skill and tradition are percentage. So the higher the base amount you have, you will have the higher bonus from the skill and tradition as well. And the Slinger, while they have quite low damage, they have very good armor penetration damage. And in the late game, when you have to fight against units with higher armor, the armor penetration damage from the Slinger will be very useful. So over here, let's do some math and let's explain how the damage and the armor work in Rome 2. And let's say we used an archer unit with 13 missile damage and 3 armor penetration damage to shot at the unit with 20 armor. That's the value of the basic archer. And we used a slinger with 5 missile damage and 6 armor penetration damage to shot at the same enemy unit. With 13 missile damage, the game will then roll a random number between 1 and 20 and reduce that and use that number to reduce the damage dealt from the archer. So for example, if the game decides to roll a number 5, then the damage dealt by the archers would be 8, 13 minus 5. If the game generates a number 20, then the damage dealt by the archer to the enemy unit will be 0, because 20 is bigger than 13, right? Let's say if all the probability of every number is the same, so we have that table, and on average, an archer with 13 missile damage will deal 3.9 damage to an enemy with 20 armor, and with 3 more armor penetration damage, they will deal on average a total of 6.9 damage per hit to the enemy with 20 armor, while the slinger with 5 missile damage, they will only deal 0.5 on average, but they have 6 armor penetration damage that doesn't affect by the enemy armor, so their total damage is actually 6.5 damage per hit to the enemy with 20 armor. So it's roughly the same as the archer. The total damage roughly the same with the archer firing at an enemy with 20 armor. It's per hit. Actually, the slinger will do more damage in this situation since they have more ammunition. Any unit with more than 20 armor, then the slinger will start dealing more damage per hit, and combined with the range and the ammunition of the slinger, this means that they can actually deal a lot more damage compared to the archer in the late game, like a lot more damage. If you try to use the 2 units, the archers and the slinger, very often and compare them together, you will see a very big difference between the 2 in the late game. However, the slinger have quite low rate of fire, and in a duel between archers and slinger without any buff, the same quality archers will be able to beat the same quality slinger in a duel when trading fire. So in multiplayer battle, multiplayer, you can actually use archers to counter enemy slinger, and slinger you can use slinger in siege since they fire in a straight line, and you actually, it's very difficult to use slinger to shot behind your infantry into the enemy in front of your infantry. They need a clear line to fire at the enemy. That's the weakness of the slinger. But other than that, slinger is superior to the archer, in my opinion. The last but not least is the Javelinmen of Peltas. They are the short range and high damage missile unit. They have the lowest ammunition among the three, so actually the total amount of damage they can deal to the enemy is the lowest. But the Javelinmen, they have the highest amount of damage, the highest amount of armor penetration damage, and they have the fastest rate of fire, which means they can deal a lot of damage in a very short amount of time, and they can deliver a morale shock to the enemy with their burst damage, which will be very important and very useful in many situations where you can quickly rout an entire army using your Javelinmen. And one more thing about the Javelinmen is they are actually the best melee fighter among the three missile units. They have good armor, they have good shield, they have very good melee stat compared to the archers or the slinger. And some Javelinmen in the game can even fight better than regular melee infantry in melee, which makes them very useful. Even when you have used all of their ammunition, you can charge into melee and they will do a very good job. So in this video we have talked about the range combat mechanics in Rome 2 and Divide Impera, and we have talked about the archer, the slinger, the Javelinmen, the strengths and weakness, and what they are used in what situation. There are still more about range combat. There are more in-depth thing about range combat in Divide Impera, such as accuracy, such as firing hours, such as okay, there's still more, but I think we will save it for another video. We'll talk more in depth in range combat. This will be the end of this video, and I hope that you will find this video helpful. If you like the video, please leave a like, comment and subscribe for more Divide Impera Rome 2 Total War stuff in the future. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video.